international ice hockey between two of the best. Team USA against Sweden. Alex Dampier and Gary Moran in the commentary booth here in the Globe Arena in Stockholm. Both these nations then, Team USA and Sweden, in Pool A of the World Championships. Two of the best, as I say, and Sweden in particular hoping for major successes with their current squad. Several changes to the Scandinavian squad we saw recently, winning silver in the Sweden Hockey Games, and the guys drafted in are mostly from the NHL in America and Canada, so they'll know what to expect from today's opponents, America. The referee, as you've just seen, comes from Czechoslovakia, and the action's underway. Wolonin in the defence of Team USA tries to get it forward, but gets it no further than Bergqvist. His shot goes wide of the net. And Alex, I think the Sweden team, on paper at least, looks the stronger of the two.
Well, yeah, the input of the professional players from United States and Canada are going to make a big difference, Gary. They add so much more depth than what they did have in the last tournament.
Well, the net minding could prove to be a key. It could be a busy game for Scott Gordon. We see him there covering up at the near post. Now Wolonin has the chance to clear the zone, but it goes round the back again, and Team USA just loft it down the ice and try to ease some of the pressure, but we get an icing call early on. Mats Naslund in the lineup again for Sweden. Have to mind his tongue. Last time we saw him, he got kicked out for mouthing off against the referee, but again, a key player.
Well, I think they rely on these guys quite a bit. They're old heads. They're smart. The Swedes have got some younger players, but these older pros in here are going to mix in well. I think they're going to be a very strong team, and I think most of the teams in the tournament are going to have to keep their eyes open for them.
Gustafsson tries to win the draw for Sweden, but it's America with the chance to build from behind their own net. Pedersen brings it forward. Tries to find his man, but Gustafsson gets it forward to Hakanlu. And Naslund can't get wood on it, can't get the shot away. One other early point worth mentioning, Alex, is the size of the USA roster. It's very small, only 3 full lines, and that could tell come the end of the game.
I think probably the Americans are waiting for a few more players to be cut loose from the National League teams to come and strengthen the squad up, and I'm just assuming that'll be the case before the World Championships start.
Well, Guerin tries to steal the puck away from the Swedes, but they get it behind the net. Now Pedersen gets the chance to clear for America, and he gets it along the boards, and Emma chases down, but it's Johnson for Sweden who drops off the back pass. And now they get the chance to build with Victorson going to the net, but Naslund's pass goes a long way. There's big Mats Sundin, spent the year in Quebec, rookie year in the NHL. He's come back to beef up the national team, and certainly when you're over 6 feet tall like Sundin, that's something you can do just by stepping onto the ice. Well, the Americans will be caught offside there. Dave Emmer, long way offside, as Kip Miller tried to get something going.
I think the Americans are going to have to rely heavily on their goaltending, Gary. They've always had fairly good goaltenders, and by the looks of the roster here, they're really up against it. They're up against a pretty experienced squad, and there's not all that much experience on the American team just now. They've got some good young players, but I think they're going to have to rely heavily on their defense and the goaltending.
Cal Samuelsson, Pelle Eklund, and Mats Sundin all drafted in to beef up the Swedish team, along with Anders Karlsson. It's got a very powerful look to it since we saw it last in those Sweden Hockey Games. And over 11,000 here to see them in action against America today.
There's over 20 players, Gary. I was going to say that the Swedes can call upon from the National Hockey League to use that are playing, you know, and that's quite a roster to be able to pull from.
Well, something like over 200 have been drafted since they started drafting them from Sweden in the mid-70s, so that just gives you an indication of how strong a hockey nation Sweden's become. Here they are now trying to get a shot away from point. The Americans back-checking well, though, and breaking it up. Tom Fitzgerald fires it deep and goes for a line change. Rolf Riddervoll, the netminder of Sweden. We had a bit of a laugh at his expense last time out, Alex. I hope it's going to be a better game for his sake tonight.
I think he'll stay in the net tonight. He's playing more like a forward last game.
Always wanted to be a centre, he told his mum. Johansson can't get it away. Neither can Victorson, and America get to clear. Jim Dowd goes down the left wing. He's got help in front from 15, Sean McKeekan. But his shot's blocked and kicked away by Rolf Riddervoll. And straight away Sweden come on the attack. The drop pass gets them away. He's Nick Lindstrom, only 20. And a defenseman as well. I think he looked like a defenseman trying to get that one in at the near side.
I think Gordon played it very well, Gary. He stood his ground. He didn't go down. Held his angles well. There's not much the shooter could do.
Well, when we see it on the replay, he did do everything he possibly could do, but the door was shut on him. And then Gordon covers up as Victorson comes close to challenge. So we have a face-off just to the right of Scott Gordon in the Americans' net.
The Swedes right now are winning all aspects of the game. They're controlling almost everything. Could be a long night for the Americans if they don't start getting something together.
And here comes Rundqvist. He played well in that round-robin tournament involving Finland, Russia and Czechoslovakia. He'll be hoping to build on those performances.
Well, I think the Swedes probably realize they only came second in that tournament. They're going into the World Championships and they're looking for a gold. So, you know, they've dropped quite a few players and brought in some new ones.
Well, 2 players on Mo Mantha's back, and Sweden come up with the puck. Fired round the back by Ken Kenholt. Some big guys in the Swedish team. Kenholt seemed big last time we saw them, but they've got even bigger guys drafted in.
Yeah, they're a big team for sure. I don't know, they're not all that aggressive, although the guys they brought in from the NHL, like Samuelson, he's a big guy and he holds his own in the National League. So I can't see why they'll probably be as rough and tumble team as anybody showing up at this the World Championships.
Tim Taylor there, the American coach from Yale University, might have to put his thinking cap on to break down the Swedish defense.
Well, the Swedes are strong though. I mean, even their defense is very, very experienced, and they're big. So I think there's going to be a lot of problems trying to crack that defensive lineup.
Nice atmosphere in the Globe Arena as well. As I say, over 11,000 fans turned out to try and see their homegrown talent against the Americans. Can't get through this time though. The arm goes up for offside. The Americans are a bit of a mixture of NHL players, guys that have been drafted and never quite made it in the NHL or chosen to go with the US Olympic team. And that mixture hasn't always worked, has it?
Well, I think it's very difficult. They generally go with a lot of college players, and it's hard, you know, when your best players are playing in the NHL and you don't get a chance to use them all. I think the Americans have quite often suffered, although they had the big upset when they won the gold medal at the Olympics. It was basically a college team.
Yeah, miracle on ice when those boys did that. Doesn't look as though this squad could repeat that at the World Championships this year, but they'll give most teams a run for the money, especially when they beef up to 4 lines. Good save from Gordon.
Well, in this type of hockey, they really need more bodies on the bench. They really need their 4 lines to get involved in a multi-game tournament where there's going to be a lot of pressure on every player, every shift.
Well, Mats Naslund was putting the pressure on Sean Hill there. And finally, the Americans get it cleared. Dave Tredovitz gets it up to the blue line, and finally his forwards manage to shuffle it into neutral ice. And a little bit of pressure is off, but it's been all Sweden so far. Lidstrom circling, checking his options, while his teammates change on the fly. Fires it down the right wing. Berglund tries to cut in. Gets another chance. No, he doesn't. Nice moves. So surely there's going to be a shot on goal from Tommy Johnson. Look how far forward the defensemen are for Sweden.
They're really good skills, Gary. They, you know, all areas of the game, they skate well, and they just showed the stick handling skills.
So Sacco gets it behind the net to teammate Sean McKeekan, but the Swedes just swarm him and come up with the puck. Wolonin goes behind his goal line. Takes care of number 11, Pelle Eklund. Lidstrom keeps it in though for Sweden. Only 20, 21 next week when the World Championships get underway. Fires it round the back, and the Swedes get something out of this. Huge Craig Wolonin in front of the goal though. Oh, there's Rolf Widerwall coming out of his net, bit of stick handling skills. We said he wanted to be a centre. least this time he didn't fall over. Chance for America, soft backhand shot from number 9, Dave Emma. Dealt with by Ridderwall. And the Swedes go down the ice through Patrick Eriksson. Göring's tied up on the boards by Bergqvist. There's a chance for Ken Holt, long shot, and another good save. And a quick smother from Scott Gordon. Bergqvist's seen a lot of ice time already. He's one of the new faces in this lineup from the last time we saw them. He's the shot coming in from Big Ken Holt.
They really needed somebody in front on that shot there. There's no screen set up at all. But well, the Swedes, the Swedes that have come over from the AHL, they're not just fringe players. They're all quality hockey players. And this young Matt Sunston that played in Quebec, he's a big kid. I think he's about 6'2".
Well, they were amazed with him in Quebec. They likened him straight away to Sandstrom, who's gone to LA. Oh, there's a giveaway by Ken Holt. But he's a tough guy. He wins it back, then gives it away again. It's Christmas time for America. The shot goes just wide. Dave Emma goes in the corner. Circles round. Another shot blocked. Now Berglund gets the chance to clear. So Sundin was a revelation in Quebec. I mean, he was one of the bright sparks in an otherwise pretty dull year for the Nordiques.
Well, I think what they expect the Swedes to be a little bit soft, and I think in the past a lot of the Swedish players were a little bit, say, gentle.
Yeah.
But, this guy, he accumulated a lot of penalty points.
Yeah, they had to hold him back. They said they had to calm him down.
Well, if they ever start doing that, they've got such good skills that they can get the aggression, and they'll certainly go up a peg or two on the ladder in the national standings. That's the only thing that holds them back at times.
Rundqvist takes it into the corner for Sweden and gets a chance again with a deflection. Fluffs on that shot under pressure from Fitzgerald. It's gone over the plexiglass now, so we'll have a face-off.
Well, the Swedes have gone with their 4 lineups, Gary, and I'm sure it's going to tell eventually on the Americans. They're going with 3 lines, and I just don't think if the pace continues that they're going to be able to hold it in the third period. They've got to run out of steam.
Rundqvist wins the draw and feeds Tommy Samuelsson. But the Americans managed to shuffle it forward. Not many pretty plays from Team USA at the moment. And here come the Swedes again, through Jonas Bergqvist. Well, good defensive work there by Sean Hill in the end, after Bergqvist did the dipsy-doodle all the way in for the shot on net. Swedes back-checking well.
They seem to have their team play worked out pretty well, the Swedes. They appear to have played a little bit together, and becoming quite evident at times the passes they're putting together.
Sean McKeekin on the boards, down on his knees, and eventually loses out. Hakenlube, lots of experience at Calgary, of course. And it shows. Mats Naslund, now with Lugano. Gustafsson. Loses out, this is Wolonin. Huge player, Wolonin. Perhaps there's 2 guys in that strip.
Yeah, he's a big kid.
Lidstrom ties 1 man up on the boards. Now Tommy Johnson can clear. And manages to get it round, but only as far as Mo Mantha. He's been around a bit, Mo Mantha.
Yeah, he's a well-travelled veteran, he is.
Here comes Sundin. Forward to Gustafsson. Tommy Johnson to Lidstrom. Game's got a good feel to it. I think something big could be about to happen. It could come from the small guy as well, Mats Naslund.
Well, his presence sure been felt on the ice tonight. He's all over, and he's putting in a lot of ice time.
Well, he's looking to get one to Anders Carlson there. Didn't work, but he's Carlson now. Pokes at it, puts it out wide. Tries to steam after it, but Emma comes back to Clean up for Team USA. Dave Emma circles, brings it over the red line and dumps it in. Well, this is Carlson. Goes behind his net. That's his team set up. Well, the long shot came in there from Pelly Eklund, but that was easily dealt with.
Well, you know, there's a lot better feeling about this game, Gary. Even the Four Nation tournament they had a while back was didn't seem to be near as aggressive or as much at stake as there is here today.
Well, of course, they're building up for the World Championships, and both these teams, Team America, just about getting their act together. That's Anderson down behind the play. I think it was McNeil threw a bit of an elbow at him, but I didn't think it connected.
I think you might find he tripped him or got a piece of his leg, and he might have hit part of the net going over. But
let's have a look at the replay. There's McNeil, 14. He comes out now. He throws the elbow, but misses and clips him. Oh, it's the back of the leg on the pipes.
I think he got off lucky with the legs. It could have been his chin he was worried about if that elbow had landed.
Well, that hurts. There's no padding on the back of the leg. You'll know about that. He looks as though he could do with a break. We'll take one, with the scoreboard still reading. Sweden 0, Team USA 0. Halfway through the first period, Sweden 0, Team USA 0. And, well, the pressure's been all with Sweden so far. Gary Moran with Alex Dampier, the Great Britain national team coach. And, as I say, Alex, it's been Swedish pressure so far.
Yeah, they look to have most of the play, Gary. They look so much stronger and more organized just now. But, you know, to be fair to the Americans, I don't imagine they've been together very long. And this is a last-minute build-up to the championships. And like we keep repeating, they're waiting for players to come over from North America to boost their squad.
Well, yeah, University coach Tim Taylor, as the big shot goes miles wide. Scott Gordon well out of his net there to close the angles. The guy from Yale University, Tim Taylor, third year he's got this job. And it's because he's one of the best at juggling the players and allowing time and waiting for other people to come in. Here's Samuelson trying to force it in. He's another big guy that's been brought in, Kjell Samuelson. Experience at Philadelphia, 69 points.
I think part of the problem here, you know, some of these guys like Samuelson put in a lot of time this year in the NHL, and he logs a lot of ice time with Philadelphia. He's going to find himself a little bit tired just now.
Well, he was trying his best there. But Scott Gordon again slammed the stable door firmly shut. He's smiling on the bench, Samuelson. He enjoyed it.
I think these guys probably really enjoy this, Gary. I'm sure the Swedish fans really enjoy seeing some of their best players coming back from the NHL, and you know, they like to see the best wearing their team colors.
Pedersen takes it behind for America, feeds it round the boards to Emma. He plays it off the boards and down the ice. In goes McNeil. Caused a problem for Anderson. Nothing too serious, we don't think. Here come the Swedes. Rundqvist drops it off for Bergqvist. And they keep the pressure on as well. Times of this have been like a Sweden power play, although they're at five-a-side.
Yeah, they're controlling so much in the zone right now. They're wheeling continually. They never stop moving. They're skating all the time. They're really making it difficult on the U.S. defense.
Well, Joe Sacco at left wing followed a check right through there, and perhaps that's what Coach Tim Taylor has told his boys to do. Start following the checks through and try and knock the Swedes off their game plan. Here comes Rundqvist. Hakanlu breaks to the circle. Looks for a tip. Good save from Scott Gordon again. Already down on his back with Hakanlu on his back, and he's still denied. Naslund.
Well, Gary, if he gets this much work in the World Championships, he's going to be black and blue and a little bit thinner by the time it's all over.
Certainly the busiest man on the ice so far.
Well, some of these guys thrive on it. Most of these goalies, they don't get 40 or 50 shots a game. They're not happy.
Masochists.
Oh, there goes our goalie again.
Well, Rolf likes to help the defense out. He's been getting a bit bored in this one. Swedes get it forward. Sundin comes out of the corner with it, comes round, tries the wrap round, but Scott Gordon again slides the big pad down.
He's showing some good skills, that Sundin. He's a nice hockey player. I'm sure Quebec has got big plans for him.
Well, we hear on the grapevine that another name from the Sweden hockey games, Valery Kamensky, is being lined up by Quebec. Now that'll be one heck of a partnership when those two get together.
Yeah, Kamensky's a very good hockey player. I think he'd fit quite easily into the NHL style, big and strong.
Well, he was the most valuable player of the tournament here in the Globe Arena not many weeks ago. Obviously, we weren't the only ones to notice that. Here comes Naslund. Can't collect the pass back to him. Gustafsson loses out in the corner and Team USA get a chance to bring it forward. But it was almost casual the way Sweden took it away. Bit of a set two behind the play. Sundin. And Fitzgerald. Well, we're having a discussion about it. Having quite a large discussion about it. Sundin goes over to express disappointment. Teach him a few words he's just picked up in Quebec. And Fitzgerald obviously knows the answers. They're both going to the box. Wait for referee Jiří Lipa from Czechoslovakia's signals. Tom Fitzgerald draws 2 minutes for slashing. And Sundin for high sticks. Timed at 15:32. So it'll be 4 aside. That'll open up this big ice arena.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll be in the Americans' favor, but they've certainly got some skilled players in their team. It's just that this rink is so big compared to what they're used to playing on. It may just be a little bit too much space for them.
15:32 gone, as I say. 0-0 the score. Anderson still suffering a bit. Connie Evanson, the coach, has a word with him. He was hoping to keep his lines together throughout this one and give them all a good workout. And knowing he's got 4 lines to the Americans' 3, that could be the secret to success. We'll have to see. Wallinen fires it forward. A little poke check there by Tommy Samuelson spoils that attempt to move up the ice. Americans try again through Guy Goslin. Wallinen again. Turns into trouble up against Pelle Eklund. Gets another chance. This time he manages to feed McNeil. His long shot goes way wide though.
This is one of these games, Gary, where Sweden's got all the pressure, and you can just see the Americans sneaking a goal here. So many times you've got all the pressure on, and the other team all of a sudden absorbs all that pressure and sneak away and get a goal, and it's so frustrating. If the bounces don't go for you, you can run into trouble, especially if you get a hot goaltender. Although Ritterwald, we haven't really seen if he's hot or not. He hasn't had many shots.
No, he's been too busy helping the forwards down the other end. Likes to come out of his net, Rolf Ritterwald. But we have seen him pull off some fantastic saves. But it could be a concentration job he's got to work on here. Danton Cole wins the draw for America. They get the chance to turn it in. Mo Mantha feeds Danton Cole again. He takes it in, walks in. Ritterwald covers up. So we'll get a face-off just to the right of his net.
It's only about the 4th time he's had to handle a puck. So I don't imagine he's anything but warmed up.
Well, it's the test of his character and his abilities to see if he can concentrate. Danton Cole will take the draw for USA. Winnipeg's 6th draft choice in 1985 from Michigan State. What can he do here in Stockholm?
Well, he's been doing well on the draws. In fact, the Americans haven't been doing bad in the draws at all. I think they're strong enough to handle that side of it.
Johnson ties him up. Pedersen goes in. Danton Cole picks up and turns it in. Well, Pedersen should have been tied up, I fear, by some winger who may be criticised by his teammates. Danton Cole, who took the draw, didn't really win it, but Pedersen, the defenseman, brought it forward. And Danton Cole finishes off quite sweet.
Cole should have been picked up by his opposite number, though. The centerman with him should have stayed with him all the way. Right there, he let him go. He watched the puck instead of sticking with his man. He got away on him. Very basic mistake, really.
Wasn't the prettiest of goals, but it counts. 16:23 gone. Danton Cole, the scorer, assisted by number 7, Tom Pedersen.
It goes to show how important faceoffs are. You know, Cole's done a good job on faceoffs most of this period, and you know, they capitalize on something really from nothing.
Well, there's a bit of a poke check, and it's loose. Here comes Hackenloob. Pedersen makes a mess of it, takes his own goalie out, and Hackenloob buries it. Not the best of defensive plays. Tom Pedersen must be thinking about that assist he's just drawn.
Well, he's a tough guy to chase down the ice, Hackenloob. He's got a lot of skill, but unfortunately, I think the defenseman lost his footing and tried to regain his balance and took the goalie out.
Well, the perfect reply from Sweden. Hackenloob steaming in. I thought Pedersen could have had him there with a big hook. Chose to go the other way around, fell over, took Scott Gordon out. And Hackenloob smiled and said, "Thank you very much." 16:42 gone. It's 19 seconds after the Americans took the lead. And Jonas Bergqvist draws an assist on that breakaway goal by Hackenloob for a 1-1 scoreline. Best kind of reply to a goal.
Well, it's the 4-on-4 situation I think that the Swedes are so good at. It's unfortunate. I think you know, Loob could have been stopped on that play. It's just unfortunate the way the defenseman fell. But, you know, you get the breaks, you take them.
Well, I did feel that Pedersen could have put the hook on from the near side instead of trying to go the long way around. Well, there's an interesting play.
A calamity of errors here.
Dave Tretovitz placed his stick on the ice. Anyway, here comes Swedes. Gustafsson. In one way or another, he got it through 2 of them. Hill and Emma couldn't stop it. It's in the corner. Tretovitz gets the chance to clear for Team USA. Well, it's the end of the 4-on-4 play. The Swedes try to mark it with a goal, but nothing comes of it. Shot from Johansson. There's Ridderwall again, playing it round the back, trying to get his teammates going. They bring it back behind his goal. And Gustafsson goes there again. I hear Gustafsson is Todd Bidner's favourite player. Todd Bidner of the Nottingham Panthers. Used to play with him in Washington.
I think he's a bit of a character. It's
He doesn't tape his stick at all, does he?
No, he played a lot of years. He's a good hockey player. He's a bit of a comedian too. So.
Yeah. Oh, I bet he got on well with Bidner from Nottingham then.
Oh, I'm sure they got along very well.
Good save from Scott Gordon again on number 11, Pelle Eklund. Eklund did well there, worked it out of the corner neatly, but Scott Gordon was equal to it. No doubting the best player for Team USA so far in this one, and we're not at the end of the first period yet. Got to be netminder Scott Gordon.
Well, yeah, I think you're right there. You know, you keep going back to the players available to both teams. I think the Swedes have basically got the nucleus of their championship team together right now, and I think the Americans have probably got half a dozen guys ready to come in at any time. It's got to be difficult for the coach right now because he knows there's other players coming in, and he's just got to do the best with what he has right now. The Americans have put on a good show at the World Championships. There's no mistaking that.
18:52 gone then, 1-1 the score. And the Swedes try to add another one as we move into the last minute of the first period before the break.
Well, it's critical now, Gary, that the Americans just keep the puck deep, and they can't afford to give up another goal early or late in this period. It's important to go in with a draw right now and try to regroup and try to figure out what's been going wrong.
Eklund fires it wide to Anders Carlson. And they get another shot away, and Scott Gordon covers up again. He's earning his keep today.
Yeah, he's doing very well. He, like we were saying earlier, the Americans quite often had very good goaltending, and this kid's living up to all the past goaltenders.
He wasn't getting an awful lot of help from the defence there either. They were hindering rather than helping, but not for the want of trying, I suspect. 19:23 gone, 1-1 the score. "37 seconds to try and get a breakthrough either team." Long shot from Emma goes wide. Danton Cole can't collect. But Sean Hill did manage to keep it in. Kip Miller might take the whistle. Doesn't get one.
Well, they just hold off this last little bit, Gary, and get into the dressing room, and the coach can have a chat with him, see if he can sort something out for the second period.
Danton Cole gets it through, but there is the hooter. And it's been a very good first period of ice hockey.
Yeah, it's been very entertaining. It's a real change from some of the European games we've seen.
While the American influence and Sweden, perhaps expecting a rougher ride, went out and bumped themselves to start with, and it gave us quite a spectacle. 1-1 the score then at the end of the first period. And America hanging on for that 1-1 to be true.
Yeah, you know, obviously the goaltender is a big part of every team, but this kid today is doing a very good job, and I think if they're going to do well in this tournament, they're going to really rely heavily on goaltending by the looks of the defense right now.
Shots on goal totals tell a story. 13 kicked out by Scott Gordon. The goals from Danton Cole, and then seconds later from Hakan Loob. 1-1 at the end of the first period. USA 1. Start of the second period. Referee Yuri Lipa from Czechoslovakia to drop the puck. 1-1 the score then. And although even Stevens in goals, it was Sweden who were all over the Americans' first period, like a new suit. 13 shots on goal to 4, but 12 of them kicked out by Scott Gordon. Quality saves as well. He's got 40 more minutes of it, I suspect.
Well, I think it's very important right off the bat, Gary. Well, right there, a good save. The Americans have got to hold fire here for a little bit, and I'm sure the Swedes are going to come at them hard.
Well, I think the Americans were much more in need of the break they've just had than the Swedes were. Joe Sacco's rink-wide pass goes astray, and Sweden get the chance to bring it forward, although that's a bit of a mishmash, and Lidström has to go deep. But they get it forward smartly. Hakan Loob, those bounced off it.
Well, you can see the sticks are getting up a little bit. Looks like it may get a little chippy.
Here comes Dave Emma. Nice pass, almost on the tape of Bill Guerin's stick, but he didn't control it anyway.
Well, the Americans look a little more composed, Gary, than what they did in the beginning of the first period.
Well, there's an offside whistle.
They seem to be trying to control a little bit more in the back. They've got some good experienced defensemen. You know, if they've got any strengths right now, it's some of the guys that, like number 22, they're guys that have played quite a while. They're good journeymen, and they should, you know, try to control the game a little bit more if they can.
Momantha, Winnipeg, Pittsburgh, Edmonton, Minnesota, Philadelphia, and the Globe Arena, Stockholm.
Yeah, you've seen a few rinks, all right. There's no question about that. But the Americans are really going to rely on guys like him. I think if they can slow the pace up a bit. The Swedes are just, they're a fast hockey club. They've got good skating skills, and they control the tempo.
Well, it's a question of who controls it, will win it. Oh, bad giveaway by Sean Hill. And Mats Naslund steals in.
Boy, wrong guy to give the puck away to.
Well, there's quite a few I wouldn't want to give the puck away to in the Swedish lineup, to be honest, these days. Bad play by Sean Hill. And Mats Naslund says thank you very much. Well, you can't blame the goalkeeper for that one. 1:31 gone, second period. Sweden take the lead for the very first time.
Well, you know, he made a mistake, but will cost you quite a bit. He tried to come up through the middle as opposed to coming off the boards with the puck, and I think most coaches will tell you, if you're in a tight situation, use the boards all the time.
Well, he'll know it now, but it's a bit late.
Well, yeah.
Perhaps the guy from Yale University will tell him again anyway, just in case there's a next time.
He may be on the bench, there may not be a next time.
Not with the size of squad the Americans have brought in here today.
Yeah, you play whether you're playing well or not.
You've coached some teams in your time like that, haven't you?
No comment, Gary, on that one.
Tom Fitzgerald goes for a rest on the American bench.
I must say, though, the Swedes, Gary, are looking so much more polished than what they did a few weeks back. They just have so much more flow and more aggression about them. You know, a couple of weeks ago, it was like watching paint dry at times. It was just terrible. But this is a good hockey club. It'll be interesting to see what happens with some of the other clubs, the Czechoslovakians, if they are going to bring in any of the pros that have been in North America.
Well, we suspected the Russians wouldn't do it, but certainly the Swedes have done it, and they've done it to good effect here. They lead it 2-1, a couple of minutes into the second period. Kalle Eklund fires it wide to Patrick Eriksson. Between them they squeeze it round the back, but it's cleared. Now it's kept in. Samuelsson. Kjell Samuelsson. Here's Eriksson. Good pad save again. They don't get it very far. Carlson shuffles it forward. Goes for the return. Well, Tommy Johnson takes Joe Sacco out of the play there and hustles him all the way behind the net so that there's no danger. Lidstrom takes a slash from Dave Emmett, and that's how he calls it. Yuri Lipa from Czechoslovakia. That's a little high. Nothing desperate.
Americans getting caught chasing the puck in that neutral zone, Gary. The Swedes are wheeling around and trying to build up speed and momentum to attack, and the Americans are sitting back and watching a little too much. I think they'll have to get a little bit more physical and try to shut the lanes down a bit more. Just don't give them as much room as what they're getting.
Well, David Emmett takes 2 minutes for slashing at 3:17. His team go on penalty kill duty. That's the Americans. The Swedes have a power play and a chance to stretch their 2-1 lead.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what kind of power play they use. You know, last time they really tried to set up and take the shots from the points. It'll be interesting with the National League influence what they do here.
Well, they start with a bit of dump and chase. Berglund still getting shifts on the power play for Sweden. Ken Holt keeps it in at point. This is Johansson. Again. Ken Holt with the long shot, but it's off target. Well, Guerin lofts it high and clear. Kip Miller chases it down. Berglund fires it round the boards. Gordon gets it at the second attempt and finds Tretovitz, whose clearance goes over the boards.
Very much a North American attitude on this breaking on the power play. They've dumped it around a couple times, and that's not something we'd seen them do a few weeks back.
Well, Mantha giving advice to his teammates on the bench there. Now the Swedes have got what you might call their big guns on the ice. Rundqvist and Lube looking to try and get something going on this power play. Sean Hill tries to send it the length, but it's cut out halfway by Lidstrom, and the Swedes take it in again. Bergqvist. Now America gets it clear using the boards. Tommy Johnson, lots of NHL experience himself, brings it forward. But Rundqvist can't latch onto that pass. McKeekan doing the forechecking. As America so far do a good job of killing this penalty.
Yeah, the Swedes have had so much control 5-on-5, and all of a sudden the short-handed situation arrives, and they can't put anything together.
Well, you were saying earlier it was like a Swedish power play during the even-handed spells. Here's Johnson with the long shot. Good save again. And the penalty is killed. Well, Guy Gosselin took a lot of the steam off that shot before it got through. It was more on the second effort. But again, Scott Gordon was equal to it. The called offside.
That's always the dangerous time. You just killed off a penalty, and usually the guys are a little bit tired, and you get a bit of confusion on the ice. It's a good time to get a whistle.
So often the case, isn't it? They just relax that little bit. Mind goes off the job, and you've got one guy who's fresh. He's just had the 2-minute rest in the box. And perhaps he'll try and make a pass that no one else can latch onto because they've been out there.
Well, that was almost a breakaway there. Just a few inches, and that would have been probably another goal for Sweden.
Patterson for America doesn't get it out of the zone. The Swedes got the pressure on. Another pad save from Gordon. This time on Tommy Samuelsson. And at last the blue line is cleared by the Americans. Patterson, the defenseman, takes it in, drops it off to Dave Emmer. But that deflection sets the Swedes going again. Mats Naslund. Kjell Samuelsson. And another save on another long shot from the Swedes.
And Naslund just showed a good bit of skill right there and determination. He's fighting along the boards, and he's still, for his age, he's got great hands, and he still plays the game really well.
Scott Gordon.
He's got a good style, Gary. He's up and down. He's quick. He doesn't seem to be flopping around at all. Stands his ground.
Comes a long way out at times to cut the angles, and that helps with those long shots. And he's had plenty to deal with. Trevitz behind the Americans' net and brings it forward. Past the circle, though. Good forechecking from the Swedes. Hustling him all the time, Pelle Eklund. Fitzgerald goes in deep, but it's still cleared by Ken Holt.
I haven't seen Sundin out here for a while, Gary. I just wonder if he got injured or...
That's the rest in him.
Maybe he played an awful lot in the first period, and haven't seen him out. He's such a big influence when he gets on the ice.
Pelle Eklund. Well, there's Rolf Widdervall getting in on the play again.
It's getting a bit scrappy now. The Swedes seem to be chasing a little bit as opposed to the Americans, and the Americans almost seem to get a bit of control here.
Well, that shot was way wide. Went up into the stands above the plexiglass and leads to a whistle. 2-1, Sweden lead it then. Halfway through the second. This is the Globe Arena in Stockholm, and this is Team USA against Team Sweden, an international challenge match, which at the moment the Swedes lead by 2-1, not far off the halfway mark. But America have come back into it in this second period, Alex Dampier.
Well, yeah, they're starting to play a little better, Gary. They're trying to take a little more control. You can sure tell by the noise from the Swedish crowd that I think everybody likes to beat an American team. There was never this much noise even when the Swedes were beating the Czechs and the Finns in the last tournament they had.
They also like the look of this team at the moment. Here's Tommy Johnson with a long shot. Oh, that could have gone anywhere.
Yeah, well, this team's dominating right now, and I think they probably enjoy that part of it. They've had a complete flow of the game, and they've had everything going their way.
Well, it was all going their way last time. The scoring opened. Danton Cole got the goal. But the crowd, as you say, getting into it, and that seems to have lifted the Swedes right back into it at the moment.
Well, it's good to see the rink partially filled anyway. You know, it's you hate to see a good game of hockey going on and nobody in the place.
As I'd say from Gordon, it could have gone anywhere, but he's earned his look tonight. And it came up and lobbed clear. 8:21 gone, as I say, approaching the halfway mark.
Well, there's not as many scoring chances in the first 10 minutes or so, Gary. It's certainly it's wide open, but they're not really penetrating.
Rundqvist beat Samuelsson at point. His shot tipped away by Scott Gordon. Now Mo Mantha gets the chance to bring it forward. Gives it away to Rundqvist, who hustles on the boards and gets help from Tommy Samuelsson, who I think took a slash on the arm and is now trying to look to the bench to try and get off. But perhaps the pain's dying down because he can see the chance to score. Samuelsson, awkward pass to Rundqvist. And the Americans try to get it out. Bats up into the air. Another save from Scott Gordon. He's having a good game.
Well, we're just saying there wasn't much pressure, and all of a sudden the Swedes are in there and doing nothing but shooting. It looks like they can do it at will, really, Gary. It's something like we were talking about the Russian team in the last tournament. They could turn it on whenever they wanted. And
oh, it's a goal against the run of play, you could say. Just as you were telling us, the Swedes can turn it on at will. Danton Cole grabs his second of the night. 9.
I can sure call him, Gary.
49 gone. Nice one, Damps. Mike McNeil fed him, and he just found the back of the net. I don't think Rolf Riddervold kept his concentration there.
Well, here we're talking about...
You were talking about the Swedes dominating at this moment.
Yeah, well, I'm going to change my mind now.
2-2.
Yeah, it's the type of game, you know, there should in no way be 2-2, but the Swedes find themselves in a hockey game again, and that's all the Americans have to do. They get good goaltending and keep getting the breaks. It's going to be a long night for the Swedes.
Mike McNeil took it in, but teammate Danton Cole a little anxious after scoring that goal. Stolen over the blue line ahead of the puck, and we get an offside whistle. Time of the goal 9:49. Danton Cole the scorer, his second of the game. And Tom Fitzgerald drew the secondary assist. 2-2 the score. Well, that is the halfway mark now. And it's as you were, boys, 2-2. Let's start again and have a game of ice hockey. Well, there looks to be an extra 2 inches height on all those Americans at the moment.
Well, they're playing well. I mean, I'm sure the coach is telling them, you're working hard enough, things are going well, just keep working, you get another goal, but I think their goaltender must be getting a little tired.
Well, a bit of a fluff on defence by Tretovitz, and Danton Cole goes back to help out. Tretovitz loses his man. And as the Americans were getting tied up behind the net, the Swedes were attempting to put them under the cosh, but it hasn't worked. Now from central ice to get the chance to build the pressure up. Naslund can't find a way through. And that'll be icing.
Well, you know, I was talking about the American defense being quite strong along with the goaltending, and the American defense have really made some major mistakes out here. A guy like Goslin coughed the puck up when you never think a guy like he would make a bad pass through the middle. You know, at this stage of the game when they're being pressured a lot, you'd think you'd keep everything up the boards, and it's really the defense that are struggling just a little bit here.
But as you say, I mean, it's a simple thing to say, but they've got fewer bodies, so perhaps they're getting tired, mentally and physically.
Oh, I'm sure they are. The Swedes are just such a good skating hockey team, and they're putting the pressure on them all the time.
And Patrick Eriksson's shot didn't get through to Scott Gordon that time, so for once he didn't have to make the save. Guy Gosselin's shot, long way off target, but at least it's dumped into the right zone for them. Joe Sacco digs it out. And a save from Riddervoll, and it's a giveaway, and it's another save from Riddervoll on Dave Emma. And I think he was on his back when he made the glove save.
Well, that would have been another upset. Oh, great save.
Good play. 11:33 gone. And Ralph Riddervoll comes good when he's needed to. But I know we've taken the mickey a little bit against him. But we do praise him as well, don't we? Because he can pull off some fine saves.
Well, I think every game we saw him play, he'd make 3 or 4 great saves and he'd be there laughing. I mean, he was always smiling, and really most guys would be worn out, and he always seemed to have a time for a laugh and a joke.
And when the pressure gets on and he gets the concentration going, he's worth having. I'm not so sure about when he stick handles down in the corner, though.
No, that's not his strong point for sure.
Berglund's shot is half blocked by Pedersen, and the Americans get the chance to clear. Dave Emma.
One thing noticeable, Gary, the Americans aren't following the checks through as what I thought they would. They, especially in the defensive zone, they're not going in and pinning their man. They seem to be turning away from the check quite a bit.
They did at the start of the period, didn't they, when it looked just for a moment as though they were right back into it. Then they gave it up.
Well, again, they may be tired. It's hard to say. Of course, the big rink is hard to catch guys. Again, Gary, we still haven't seen Sundin out here for a while. It's you lose a player like him, you think they'd really struggle a little bit, because he's a quality hockey player.
Well, of the two coaches, Connie Evanson there has got the strength in depth. 12:36 gone, 2-2 the score. So if anyone can cover for an injury of the two coaches, it's that man Evanson.
Yeah, the Americans would be hard pressed right now if they got an injury. They'd be down to just over 2 lines, and at this kind of hockey, it's almost impossible to play with that few number of players.
Fitzgerald tries to find Mike McNeil, but can't, and the Swedes get the chance to come away. And now Scott Gordon comes out to show us he can stick handle a little bit. Plays it off the boards very soundly, very positively. But the Swedes bring it back in. And that was too casual. Here comes McNeil.
Swedes are quick on the break here, Gary. They're under pressure and all of a sudden they're on the attack.
Well, Ken Holt tried the wrist shot. It's almost as though the Swedes are determined to beat Scott Gordon with one of these long shots, isn't it?
Well, they are taking a lot of long shots at him. Maybe they didn't think he could play the game, but he's certainly showing he's a good player.
And give away by Naslund. But the Americans didn't capitalize. 2-2 to score, though. Wallen in, keeps it in on the backhand.
That's a bit of a change seeing the Swedes in pinning, taking their man.
Couldn't quite find Sacco in front. He's Wallen in. A mountain of a man he is. Lobs it forward, and they get called for a 2-line pass.
Right now the Americans are just dumping the puck out of their zone. I really do think they're starting to get a little bit tired. And another period coming up. This could be, they have to be careful. They could get blown out.
Well, there's the coach, Tim Taylor. He looks like an academic, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. He's going to have to be a real academic soon, I think. I mean, the Americans are getting some bounces and they've had some good breaks, but it just can't go on forever. I'll say that and they'll score another goal.
Well, I was going to say you've had a good habit so far. Let's see what happens on this break. He's on target. Soft shot from Guerin. Number 20, Bill Guerin, New Jersey's first choice in the 1989 entry draft. Connie Evanson, that little look said a lot, didn't it? Looked up at the clock. How on earth are we still tied at 2s with this team?
Yeah, it's. I'm sure he expected to really give this team a thrashing today. You look at the American team; they're wearing their World Championship strips. So obviously, all these players are on the team that will be going to the championships, but the other strips haven't been filled yet. So there's still a full 5 players that aren't out here that should be.
Here comes Dave Emmett. Drops it off, but doesn't see that Tom Fitzgerald was in the way, and Pelle Eklund picked it off.
I think it's more of a case the Americans right now don't know each other. They probably haven't spent a great deal of time as a team with this particular unit. And these Swedes, you know, they've played together for a long time. Even though a lot of them are in the NHL, they still grew up playing, and they've all been on national teams together throughout their hockey careers.
Well, we've got the fourth line today for the Swedes, the line of Victorson and is it Eriksson?
Yeah,
Johansson and Berglund, I mean, with Victorson. They were like the second line or the first line in the Sweden hockey games, and now they're relegated to fourth, but it means they've had 4 or 5 games together, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, they...
recent games.
Yeah, that last tournament a couple of weeks back, they had basically the same units together. They've dropped a couple lines, but the guys that are here played as a unit.
Well, Scott Gordon's been getting a bit more help from his skaters. They've been blocking shots and protecting him in a way. And he'll be grateful for every little bit of help he can get. Fitzgerald tries to deprive Berglund, and with a little help from his friends, does so. McNeil lobs it forward. Samuelson, Tommy Samuelson, said to be one of the coach's favourite players of all time. Gets it forward, Berglund with the long shot. This time Scott Gordon does have to save himself, but he does a good job of it.
Americans are doing everything as individuals right now. They seem to be lacking just a little bit of timing with each other, but hopefully that'll come when they get together in France for the championships.
Here they come, through Sean McKeekan, gets it into the crease area, but Momantha couldn't get onto the end of it. Dave Emmer goes behind, try and steal it, nothing comes of it. Ken Kenholt brings it forward for Sweden.
He's another well-traveled veteran. The Americans are starting to do a bit more hitting here now. As long as they don't end up in the penalty box, this will be good.
Well, if they can get out of this period on level terms.
Well, surprised everybody.
Especially yourself. Oh, good chance there for Bergqvist. But he couldn't turn it in round the back of Scott Gordon. Next goal's going to be crucial, isn't it?
Well, I think it's more important for the Americans, really. They're getting so few chances that every chance they do get, they'll have to put them in. The Swedes, on the other hand, they're getting, shot after shot. Eventually, one's got to get in there.
Well, there were 2 Swedes in front of the net there, Hackenloob and Tommy Rundqvist. Rundqvist now behind the net.
The Americans just plugging the front of the net. They're not challenging at all. They're trying to let them take their shots from the outside and just hoping they can block them or the goalie can stop them.
Hackenloob winds up for the shot. Gordon gets a piece of it.
Well, he closed his hand on the puck that time, brought it down. Sometimes they don't call that. Some guys get away with it. It's almost they pick it up and skate a few yards and then drop it.
Well, he'd be the first to complain if someone slashed his hand when he got hold of the puck, wouldn't he?
Well, yeah. But Håkan Loob again showing his great skills out there. He's done some great individual efforts.
Just under 2.5 minutes for the Americans to survive if they can, and they'll have made it to the second break with a tight scoreline, 2 apiece.
Yeah, the Americans are getting some decent breakouts. They're just not really penetrating as well as they could. Once they do get down into the offensive zone, they come through the neutral zone pretty well, and then they seem to break up.
Lidstrom with the long shot, and guess what? Scott Gordon saved.
Yeah, he's been a busy young man out there today.
He's taking his time getting up as well.
Yeah, don't blame him.
Just straightening the padding out. I fear he'll need it again.
Probably falling off and there's no weight left. Those goaltenders expel a lot of energy. They're on the move all the time, especially in the American net today. It's been a busy place.
Be like a sauna inside that uniform. Here's more man for Dave Emma. They can't get it across to Kip Miller, and the Swedes bat it forward. Comes back to their defensive team, but this is Nicholas Lindstrup.
Well, this Sundin finally made it back out. I wonder what the problem was. Unless he was in the bad books and got benched.
It could be. He's a tough guy, though, isn't he? It wouldn't be a twisted sock with him.
Well, no, maybe they thought more along the lines, but he's getting too many penalties.
What, one?
Well, if he was wound up the way he's supposed to get wound up, one might have led to another one, you know.
Yeah.
He's that type of player.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, good chance. As we move into the last minute of the period, but the Swedes miss out on it.
Well, there's a chance that went begging. This is turning into a nightmare for the Swedish coach. He's just wondering what's going on here now. All the chances and they won't go in.
Well, Scott Gordon went down.
He made a good play, the Swede. He was
Pelle Eklund.
just went under his stick. I thought, you know, it looked to me it would have been a goal.
He was moving. We're in the last minute of this second period. Still tied at 2s. And when that hooter goes, it'll be the team in blue that'll be the more grateful. Tredovitz can't even get it out of his own zone at the moment. Pelle Eklund looking to try and get a piece of it. McNeil loses out. Here is Eklund.
Well, I think the Americans are doing a good job, Gary, considering really they're a little bit under strength here right now. And obviously this is the Swedes' home rink, which is going to be a bit of an advantage. So I think, you know, these warm-up games before the championships will be they'll be just what the Americans need to try to get something together to try to win the World Championships.
They're a little bit behind the Swedes in their preparations, aren't they, for Pool A, and this game will help them. Having said that, it's also helping the Swedes get a little bit further down the road. There's the hooter. The Americans will be pleased to be still in this one at 2 goals apiece at the end of the second period. Danton Cole surprised everyone with the American equaliser at 9:49. The shots on goal, again, exactly the same balance. 15 shots for Sweden, 5 for the Americans, but it's still tied in goals. Naslund opened the scoring early for Sweden, and Cole levelled it. (2-2) at the Globe Arena in Stockholm. Sweden against America. Gary Moran and Alex Dampier in the commentary booth. And the Americans grateful to be still tied with the Swedes. They've got a small roster compared to the 4-line Swedes. And those tired legs have done well to keep the scores tied.
Well, I think if the pace continues at what it was the first 2 periods, Gary, the Americans are definitely going to be in trouble. It's been all Swedes have been attacking them continually, and the Americans have done very, very well. I think on the attack, they've made the quick breaks and scored a couple of goals. And fortunately, their goaltender's playing well. As long as he stays in the game, they'll stay in it.
And Connie Evanson, the Swedish coach, will no doubt have told his team just to keep at him. and try and keep the pace up and try and wear them down. He's walling in. Fires it round the boards. Jim Dowd chases after it this side. Will it come back to him? Well, he's got it now. Feeds the point. Nice save from Riddervoll. I don't think he saw much of it till the very last moment. Now his teammates are right up the other end. He's Hakenloob. Samuelson brings it in for the shot and hits the back of the net.
Well,
it's Thomas Johnson.
You can't get a lot of a guy like that walk in that distance. He just walked in and he had a chance to tee it up, and he did.
I thought it was Samuelson, but in fact it was number 3, Thomas Johnson.
He's far too close. I mean, there's no way the goalie's going to get past the screen, too.
Oh, he smoked that one in the end, though. Just seconds gone at the start of the third period. Thomas Johnson drills it.
Yeah, there's no mercy there. High and hard.
I don't think he could believe his luck.
Well, the Americans just got caught watching there and running around. Some guys out of position.
42 seconds gone.
You know, Riddervoll's come up with some big saves. He's had 2 quality saves here, and just early on, the Americans could have just easily scored as the Swedes.
Well, there's a soft shot from Bentaki Gustafsson.
That was a good save, though.
Ken Holt, he's big enough to catch that one. I would have needed a set of step ladders. He just put his hand up above his head and held it down and kept the pressure on the Americans, who trail this one now by 3-2. That could have gone anywhere as well.
Well, I must say the Riddervoll's playing an awful lot better than what I thought he could. He's had to stand around all night, and all of a sudden he came up with some big saves.
And his teammates have capitalised as well. Sundin drops it off. Scott Gordon gives it away to Naslund, but Naslund can't put it away at the second attempt.
It's not like Naslund to miss those ones.
He was that surprised to get it, I think. Danton Cole deep in his own zone. The Americans being forced deep by the Swedes. Samuelson batters it off the boards, but not out. Now the Swedes clear.
But Cole's a good hockey player. He scored the 2 goals, but not just that. He's been working hard. He's done a good job back checking. He's a fairly good playmaker.
Well, the Americans will have to watch that frustrations don't set in. They only trail it by 1. Had a couple of surprise goals already. There's no reason to doubt they might not get another. Kalle Eklund. He's robbed, though, by the defensive combination of Hill and Tretovitz. Tretovitz gets it forward to Dowd, who drills it through the crease, but nothing comes of it. Oh, that's a hooking penalty, surely. Yep. Delayed call.
That was a tough one to call, Gary.
You noticed it. Come on,
he didn't. The crowd would have noticed it for him.
Even I noticed.
11,500 were calling that one.
3 or 4 gone. Sean McKeekan, 2 minutes for hooking.
Well, the Americans did a good job last time killing the penalty off. This is a key one this time.
Wasn't a bright penalty, was it?
Well, I think the stick more or less got stuck under the guy's arm. I don't know how.
Because he put it there.
Yeah. Well, we'll just leave that topic.
His teammates will be pleased that they can now play short-handed for 2 minutes, having just gone 3-2 down.
It's all learning experience, Gary. They want to know what the Swedes can do in their power play for the tournament, so they...
That's right, yeah. They want to see how well the penalty killing...
Well, yeah, maybe they'll get a few more later on. Try them 5-on-3.
Big Craig Wallenin's out there for the Americans. And Scott Gordon covers up.
The Swedes are shooting.
Has the slap away, but nothing comes loose, and the whistle goes.
The Swedes are shooting the puck. It's very similar to their other power play when they got set up a couple weeks ago. And the Russians were doing the same thing. And the Czechs, they work it across the point many first times. It's something a little bit different from what we've seen in the past from these European countries.
Mo Mantha's out there for America to lend his experience to proceedings. 3:26 gone. Still 1.5 minutes of the power play to go.
Well, they can't afford to go down 2 goals here. It'll be too much of a fight back for them. I think they'll just have to keep it tight, have to force the play a little bit here as much as they can.
Especially as the shorter bodies anyway. Pedersen blocks that shot coming in from Victorson. But they don't clear the zone. Ken Holt keeps it in. Stillman on 1 point. Ken Holt on the other. The Americans clear. Kip Miller doesn't get it out the zone though. Scott Gordon just manages to shovel it into the corner. Big save on a shot from Ken Holt.
They keep using that first timer. They keep working it across.
And another. And there's no doubting Ken Holt can get some steam on it.
Yeah, obviously they got their big shooter on that first time shot. The Americans are going to have to try to cheat on that a little bit and try to take away that.
Stillman with the shot.
Scott Gordon's looking just like a rag doll there right now. He's making the save and just barely able to make it back to his crease.
Well, it's a Swedish power play, which has involved a series of one-time shots, followed by a series of saves. Another wrist shot, another save, and it's loose. They've just got back to full strength, the Americans. We said earlier how often it happens, and the Swedes score anyway. Jan Victorson the score. 5:07. Victorson the scorer, assisted Mikael Johansson just after the power play finished.
Well, he's made a couple of good saves here, Gary, and it's unfortunate the way they scored, but you know, there just wasn't enough support from around the net.
4-2 then, he makes the first stop, can't do much about the rebound, and it's turned in. 4-2 to Sweden. "15 minutes to go here at the Globe Arena, and the home nation has stretched it to 4-2 on a goal from Jan Victorson, assisted Mikael Johansson. Bit of a scramble in front of the net, coming straight after a power play in which they rained the shots in, and Scott Gordon dealt with all of them. But just as the Americans got back to full strength, Sean McKeekan back on the ice, but not back with the play, as so often happens. The team that have just fluffed the power play got a goal anyway. Danton Cole goes out there for the Americans. And a 2-goal spread. Too big a mountain, Alex?
Well, I think it's very difficult, but you know, I would think the Americans really are looking. They'll be scouting the Swedes. They'll be having a good look at what they do, and they know they got some strength coming in the weeks to come to help their team for the championships. And I don't think they'll be all that disappointed, and you know, you're always disappointed in losing, but if they can learn something by it for the championships, they'll be happy with that.
Well, Bergquist gave Scott Gordon a dirty look there. I'm sick of watching the American netminder pull off the saves, but the fans are getting into it again. The waves going around the Globe Arena, and that man there has got all the headaches. Yale University and US national team coach Tim Taylor.
Well, like we keep talking about learning, and I'm sure he's getting prepared for the championships coming up, and this scouting team will be having a good look at the Swedes and just trying to figure out what they have to do to beat them next time they get together.
Well, the Americans can hardly hear each other pass on the instructions.
Well, it's nice to see enough of a crowd in here to create a wave, Gary.
Lidstrom circles and brings it forwards and crosses the blue line, sets up his forward line, but the Americans steal it off the skates. McKeekan can't get it to Jim Dowd, and Lidstrom clears. The Swedes bring it right in. Gustafsson. Dowd tries to fire it forward to McKeekin again. Rundqvist for Sweden. Hakanloob looks for the drop-off pass, gets it. Back to Rundqvist. Rundqvist the goal.
That was a nice goal. Really well worked.
6:27 gone.
Oh, there's a bit of experience mixed in that one.
Nice play. 1-2s, 3-4. Back of the net. 5-2 the score then.
Too bad the American back checkers ended up following the puck a little bit, because the guy that made that behind the back pass ended up getting the return and scoring the goal. And I think they just they had enough guys back. They just didn't seem to pick up the man-to-man.
6:27 gone. Rundqvist the scorer. Hakanloob the assist. 5-2 the score. The Swedes with a 3-goal spread in their favour. No wonder the crowd's on its feet. Mo Mantha behind the Americans' net. If they're going to get something going, they're going to have to get it going quickly. 14 minutes to go. Oh, well, that was a soft offside. That was obviously coming. Naslund throws the puck to the Swedish linesman.
Well, it'll be interesting to see in the championships, Gary, how a guy like Naslund holds up. I mean, he's got to be 32 years old now. It's not going to be easy. 12-team tournament. Be a lot of games, short number of days, so it's I think the Swedes, they've got one of the older teams in the tournament, I would think.
The Russians are going to be interesting to look at from World Championship pool, aren't they? Because we feel they may not go back to the guys that have been playing in the NHL.
No, I don't think they would. I don't think they'd ever admit that they have to do that, and they've got such a good youth policy and minor program. I'm sure they've got enough players in their own domestic scene. They don't have to rely on any of the older players from the NHL.
They won the Sweden hockey games in this very arena, but if they played as they did in that tournament, this Swedish team, today's Swedish team, could have given them more than a run for the money, I fear.
Well, they might have. I don't think we ever saw the true Russian side in that tournament. They never really put it together as much as they had to. They just toyed with everybody, really. They were never, ever under pressure.
That's true. I mean, that's why I said if they played as they did in the tournament,
well, yeah,
compared to the way Sweden's playing today. Of course, the Russians have been continuing their progress towards World Championship Pool A. They never enter anything without planning to win it, so they will have, under Coach Tikhonov, progressed with their preparations.
But the Swedes are looking strong. This is the strongest Swedish team I've seen for years, and they just haven't scored on the chances, but they certainly do control the play well.
McNeil brings it forward for the Americans. He gets help from Danton Cole, but they lose out anyway. And Samuelsson shuffles it forward. Fitzgerald picks it up for the Americans, though. Plays it back to his defence, Sean Hill. Here's Fitzgerald again. His shot is half blocked, and it goes into the stands and back down.
Well, I think a lot of the teams, Gary, will be a lot stronger than what we saw. Finland will brought back a few players. Czechoslovakia, we're not sure about that, but they've got enough players in the NHL that can bring back some very good quality players. So it'll be interesting to see really who does what and what type of lineups they will have for the championships.
8:15 gone. Sweden 5, America 2, and of course the Americans, as we've said, on top of what we've seen here in this game, have another line to come in, and that'll be an experienced, powerful, well-trained line. And
I think you could expect five pros coming in, 5 good all-around hockey players. I don't think you'll see any poorer players, that's for sure. They'll certainly strengthen the squad when they arrive.
It's been a good game so far, this one, though. Almost a bit David and Goliath in a way, with the Americans coming in with 3 lines to the Swedes 4. And it seems to have taken its toll. They held the score to a tie right through to the third period.
I thought for a second the Americans were going to get a penalty. They I think one thing they'll learn, if they can get a little bit more physical with teams, they probably will. Although it's very difficult.
I was going to say, if anyone can get physical, it's got to be this guy. Must be about 6'4".
Yeah, he's a big lad. But they, these big rinks, it's awful hard to make the contact. But I think they'll have to make an effort if they're going to try to control some of these faster players. They'll have to bump them as much as possible.
Well, give away by Joe Sacco. Rundqvist, he gives it away. Bill Guerin. Oh, it's tipped there by Samuelson, Tommy Samuelson.
That's about the fourth giveaway the American defense have turned over, and could have quite easily been another 4 goals. They were that bad a mistake.
Well, any feistiness has gone out of this game.
Yeah, it looks like they just resigned themselves to the fact that it's all over and they're just going through the motions to run the clock down. I hate to see it get any wider a spread. The Americans could take exception to it and get a little bit nasty. In fact, I would have thought they would get a little bit nasty here any time now, just to let them know that they're going to meet them in the World Championships. They better be ready.
Leave their mark. Naslund circles. And the crowd's woken up again as we reach the halfway mark in the third period. Sean Hill, the defenseman, takes it down one-handed, then throws a slash, then a trip. Nothing called on that, though.
Oh, the referees let a lot go.
Let it go, yeah. Called a sensible game. Sean Hill again dumps it forward. This time will be a whistle. So it's 5-2. Sweden with a 3-goal spread to their advantage halfway through the third period. Sweden leave it. An international challenge match. Two of the best teams in the world when they're at full strength. Sweden not far off it. The Americans with a little way to go as they build up to the World Championships. 10 minutes to go, 5-2 to Sweden. Some hockey left in this one yet, I fear, Alex Dampier.
Well, the way the Swedes are still skating, it's like they picked it up a gear, or maybe the Americans have just dropped down. It could be an awful lot of chances, and I think Mr. Gordon has got a few saves left in him. Or I hope he has.
Well, we'll find out soon who's got the most valuable player awards, but I fear it'll be number 30 for the Americans. I can't see anyone else.
Yeah, he's done a lot of work today. He's certainly worthy of any awards that'll be handed out. It's difficult who they'll say for Sweden, really. There's quite a few players that have done a good job.
Rundqvist has been grinding away, hasn't he? And Mats Naslund and Hakanloo.
Well, you look at guys like Lube and Naslund, they're old favorites. They've been away playing pro. They've been back playing on the national team. They're country heroes, really. And, of course, Naslund got a couple goals already, so... Although I would never call it because I'd call it wrong. I'll go for the goaltender. They'll never pick him.
Your mate rolled. Samuelson plays it off the boards. But the Americans bat it straight back in. They could live with a quick goal, get the spread reduced to 2.
Well, you never know. If they could sneak one back, the Swedes just may feel a bit of the pressure. Home crowd might just go dead on them.
Berglund, Victorson, Johansson line seeing a lot of ice time now for the Swedes. Berglund waves his stick at Guerin, but nothing comes of it. The shot goes through soft. Riddervall turns it behind. Here's Berglund again. Well, Victorson rides the check, but not the second one from Sean Hill. Although Johansson took it on for him.
You can tell the Americans are getting tired, Gary. A lot of hooking and holding going on. They're running out of gas.
Hitching a ride, aren't they?
They dump it in. There's not a lot of chase left.
Well, Kip Miller dumped that one in, and apart from Fitzgerald, the other four all chased to the bench.
It's interesting, though. I still think the Americans, once they get beefed up to full squad, and you look at the Swedes here, this is probably their set team. The Americans will give them a good run. No question about it.
I would think the Swedes might make one or two changes, if that.
Yeah, it'll be anybody late coming back from the NHL, possibly. But
just depends which teams get knocked out and which don't. Here's Hakanlu. He looks fresh as a daisy, doesn't he, for an old man?
Well, he's such an easy skater, you know. It comes so easy for him. And I think it takes an awful lot to get him tired.
Danton Coles had a good game. He'd be my second choice, I suppose, for most valuable player for the Americans.
Yeah, he's working hard.
Well, Fitzgerald says I was wide, I was free, we could have had him. And Danton Cole says I didn't see you, mate. Even his eyes are tired. Lidstrom. A lot of hockey in him, only 20 years old, as I say. Got a birthday coming up.
They've got some good talent. They've got some older guys in this team, but certainly the young guys they do have in there are quality hockey players.
Gustafsson to Lidstrom, but it's taken out by Giosacco, and he follows down and hustles through and chases his own shuffle down the boards. Nice pass from Naslund to Hakanlu to Gustafsson. Tries to slip it underneath Scott Gordon. Doesn't work. Here's Naslund. Big shot. Pad save. Pedersen chips it to the wing.
Sundin made a real nice play there. He's a smart hockey player.
Naslund in the corner. Gustafsson in the other corner. Brings it out. Well, Pedersen should have taken him out. In the end, Pedersen was taken out. And Lidstrom keeps it in for Sweden.
Yeah, the Americans are really in trouble here now. The Swedes are just skating around at will in the zone.
There's not even a lot of movement from the Americans, is there?
Well, they've just set up a zone and just making them shoot from the outside.
Momantha gives it away. Another long shot, drains in. And then with the back of the skate, Scott Gordon kicks the rebound off the backboards into the corner.
It was a bit of the Calgary Stampede there. He hauled him down. He's going to rope him.
Max Naslund. Crowd getting into it again.
Wonder how much they'd be into it if the Americans were a little full strength and things were a little different.
Well, Gustafsson, can't believe he missed that one. Here's Pelle Eklund. Pelle Eklund goes in. Lidstrom fakes the shot. The Swedes change on the fly and keep possession and keep the pressure on. Lidstrom fluffs though. Here's a chance and another good save on the closing attempt by Patrick Eriksson.
Well, the Swedes are getting just a little bit cocky here now. I can see the Americans are getting a little upset, and some of the two-handers are starting. Even Gordon got a bit of a swing of the stick in. It's not bad winning, but you don't have to rub it in.
11,200 and something people here would like the Swedes to rub it in just once or twice more. They get a chance now after the giveaway, but it's mopped up. The Kip Miller fluffs the clearance. Here comes Pelle Eklund and hits the post. Well, the wraparound from Eriksson didn't work, but he's Pelle Eklund again. Samuelsson with the long shot.
It's like a power play. The poor goaltender, I think you're going to have to start helping him up off his knees.
Oh, they called icing. I thought Witherall might go the length.
He's about the only one that hasn't had a shot on net the other end. Well, I just hope the Americans are learning from all this and just don't let it happen again in the championships.
Well, Scott Gordon went down, shut the door. He left the top drawer open, and Pelle Eklund couldn't hit the target. 16:57 gone. 5-2 the score. If it stays like this, we might even put it down as a moral victory to the Americans.
Well, there's one thing they know. They know they've got some more guys coming in, and we keep harping on that, but it's important. If you get 5 quality players coming in to beef up your squad, it's got to make you feel better. You know, there's some goal scorers coming in, I'm sure.
One thing's for sure, if they didn't know it before, they know it now. They've got a cracking netminder in Scott Gordon, just named, we hear in the headphones, as most valuable player on the American team. And for the Swedes, well, no surprises. It was a bit of a toss-up. Mats Naslund gets the vote. You agree with that one?
Well, I think he's played real well. He's scored a couple of goals.
He's a fan's favourite.
Well, he is, yeah. He's been around the scene for quite a while. He's been a favourite for years here.
There's going to be a big cheer when that's announced at the end of the game, and the fans in the stadium know that their hero, Mats Naslund.
I think they kind of like Samuelsson too, Kjell Samuelsson. He's a big, strong guy, big influence on defense. I think he'll be one of their mainstays when it comes to the World Championships.
In the future, I think the fans will be cheering for Lidström, only 20, and playing like a veteran, has done for a few games now for Sweden. Anyway, it's the Americans who hustle and get it forward, and here is Lidström to Berglund. He's been seeing time as an extra defenseman.
You can see the Americans are putting a bit more body into this now. And they just fed up with the runaround they've had. I'm sure the coaches had a few words with them telling them they're getting humiliated.
Wallen in. I think he wasn't going to play that puck from the moment he set off for it.
No, I think it's time they stamp their mark that they're going to meet again. They better let them know.
Victorson turns it into the corner, and the Swedes bring it forward. Tipped out of the zone by Ken Holt.
Well, the Swedes have still got a lot of legs left. They're still skating well. But 5-2, Gary, wouldn't really be all that bad a score. You know, at the end of it all, they could probably feel that they held them for 2 periods. Had they had another line, they could have held them right to the very end.
Jim Dowd shot there, drawing a pad save from Riddervall. And the Americans getting a little bit of pressure of their own on. Just showing they can do it. Well, the neck comes off. Riddervall comes with it. It's a star.
He's got to do something every game, something a little different. He's going to take the net home with him. I'm sure you'll have a big laugh for us.
Well, he's bringing the water bottle to the bench. He's just doing a bit of housekeeping, I think, tidying up.
Well, it was adding weight to the net. He couldn't lift it. He's been a good goaltender. He's no youngster either. I mean, I'm surprised how well he's played. He's
still laughing and joking with the referee there, and he doesn't speak Czechoslovakian.
He's made some key saves tonight.
He's a natural. The Americans can't keep it in and have to regroup centre ice. Sean Hill plays it forward. Kip Miller gets it in front, and Dave Emmer turns it in.
I'm surprised that they allow that one.
He looked a bit tight, didn't he? Well, we're in the last minute, 19:22. It's been given. Dave Emma, the scorer. The assist to Kip Miller. Was he in the crease?
That's good. You know, they had a guy driving to the net. I thought he might have kicked it in, but he deserves it. He drove hard to the net. That's what they'll have to start doing. They're challenging. Oh, it looks like he got the stick to it.
Yeah. Good call by the Czechoslovakian referee. And even more respectability in the scoreline. 5-3, Sweden lead it.
Well, that's got to give them more heart. I think next time they play Sweden, I think they'll probably feel a lot more confident.
Well, the whistle goes for offside. Got 30 seconds or so to go.
Well, that calmed the crowd down a little bit. Amazing what a goal from the opposition will do to the home crowd.
Well, some of the youngsters still cheering in the background, but the older ones perhaps thinking about what might have been had the Americans had a full roster.
Well, I think the Swedish team will be disappointed that they didn't really thrash this American side today. I'm sure they came out here expecting to really give it to them.
Well, sometimes no matter how hard you try to put the puck in the net, it just won't go. And they came up against a hot goaltender. Lidstrom circles as they wait for the final hooter. A long shot into the glove of Scott Gordon. Fittingly, he has the last touch.
Well, the Americans look quite pleased, Gary. I think they're, 5-3 scoreline. They've got a lot more to offer, so they can't be disappointed in this result.
And the Swedes will be pleased. They got the victory they were hoping for, if not the margin they were hoping for. Shots on goal, 45 for the Swedes. Didn't Scott Gordon, the American goalie, do well? Just 14 shots on net for the Americans, who went with 3 lines to the Swedes' 4. First period, Cole at 16:23. Lube answered for the Swedes. Naslund took Sweden ahead early in the second, but Cole again got his second of the match halfway through, and it was tied going into the third. But then Jonsson, Victorson and Rundqvist stretched it before Emma wrapped it up with 40 seconds to go. 5-3 then, Sweden won it. From Alex Dampier and myself, goodbye from Stockholm. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. We'll leave you with the highlights.